Hey guys, welcome back to another Canine Performance podcast episode where it is our mission to help you live a better life with your dog. I'm your host, Natalie Dobkins, and today we're going to be discussing choices and a lack of information. Just those two kind of things mixed together because I think that this is just a really stressful thing that happens in human lives. And I don't think that we really think about how this impacts our dogs' lives as well, especially because dogs feel like they have a lot of choices and they feel like they have a lot of responsibility and they don't have enough information in order to make those choices. But actually, at the end of the day, they don't have those choices at all because we should be the ones that are making a lot of these choices for our dogs. I'm not saying all of them. We don't need to be micromanagers for our dogs, but for the majority of the time, we are going to be making a lot of choices for our dogs. And if we are not making certain choices for our dogs, then that's how we start to get a lot of these undesirable behaviors. But choices and a lack of information leads to a lot of the unknown and a huge lack of clarity. So an example that I used the other day, and I had talked about this on my Instagram, was when you are in a new relationship. So you start in a new relationship with a significant other, a romantic partner, and, things seem to be going fine. Everything is fine and dandy. And then one day something happens, some sort of situation, and you get it into your head that something is wrong. And maybe you have some sort of feeling that they are going to break up with you. And it is that unknowingness that leads to a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. And you are faced with this choice of, okay, so should I break up with them before they break up with me? Should I wait and talk to them? Should I confront them? All these different things are going through your head and you just don't have enough information to make a good choice. And there's so many different choices that you can make. But then once something actually culminates and you actually have an answer, say, for example, they do break up with you. Yeah, okay, it sucks. But you can finally have that huge breath of relief of knowing a direction, of having information enough to make choices. And all of that anxiety, all of that panic, that frustration is raised off of you. And you can finally have a lot more clarity and you can finally start to move forward with your life. And, a lot of that I feel like is very similar situations in our dog's life where they feel like they don't have enough information to make good choices, or they feel like they have to make too many choices. And so that lack of clarity just creates a ton of gray. And that gray space that is not black and it is not white, that gray, this happens from a lack of rewards for good behaviors that you do like. It happens from a lack of corrections. Telling your dog no is not a correction if there is nothing to back it up. If you say no to your dog and they do not stop their behavior and then they do not choose to not participate in that behavior less frequently in the future, that is not a correction. You are not adding a level of clarity to your dog's life. A lack of communication, a solid communication system leads to a ton of gray, a lack of structure, a lack of boundaries, and ultimately a lack of clear expectations that you have for your dog of how they should behave or how they shouldn't behave. So having all of that really leads to a lot of unknown, a lot of gray, and the dog feels like they constantly have to make a lot of choices that honestly they shouldn't have to feel like they need to be making. So, at the end of the day, try and look at your dog's behavior and see, where is a lot of the gray area coming from? Do you not reward enough? Do you reward too much and not have too many, and not have any corrections at all? Do you correct too much and not reward enough? Do you have a good communication system in place? Do you have any structure, any boundaries? What expectations do you have out of your dog? Does your dog know those expectations? And what expectations does your dog have of you? You also have a very critical and pivotal role in your dog's life as well. So it's really important to try and take that anxiety and panic off of your dog's shoulders and take time to really dedicate teaching your dog what's expected of them through those corrections and rewards, and doing all those different things that I have already talked about. So, look at some of the different situations in your life that were, maybe you were never in a relationship and you felt the anxiety of someone breaking up with you. Maybe you have been in a job and you heard that there are going to be layoffs, and you go into work every day and you're like, oh my gosh, should I just quit my job and just look for a new one? Should I start applying to jobs, or should I stay here and see what happens? Should I go and talk to my boss? Should I not go and talk to my boss? And all of that anxiety of just not knowing what's going to happen and feeling like you have a lot of choices. I feel like there are so many situations that us as humans can really relate to in that regard. And for a lot of our dogs, that's the reality of the life that they live. So look into decreasing how many choices your dog has to make in a day, how much gray space you are giving your dog. And if you are adding to that lack of clarity that's creating all of that gray space through a lack of rewards, corrections, boundaries, structure, expectations, communication, the list can go on and on and on. But once you figure those things out, training is smooth sailing, my friends. It definitely is. Once you just have those things figured out and you just tackle them systematically and you just have a plan moving forward. So sit down, try and think of what may be adding confusion, a lack of clarity and gray space to your dog, and think about how you can start resolving those problems moving forward. And if you need help with that, reach out to a trainer. It doesn't have to be me. It can be anyone that you trust and look up to, but reach out to someone and ask questions. I've been doing a lot of virtual training sessions with coronavirus going on right now. A lot of behavior issues are starting to crop up, which is totally understandable. And a lot of this gray that has been in dogs' life for a really long time is starting to become a lot more prominent. And that lack of clarity is starting to manifest in a lot more undesirable behavior. So if you need some guidance, if you need some assistance, reach out, schedule a virtual training session, whatever it may be. A lot of trainers are offering that right now, and that is something that I'm offering myself. So that is it for today's podcast episode, just giving you a little bit more of insight and maybe something to just kind of think on of when it comes to some undesirable behaviors your dog is showing. Think about how much gray area your dog may be living in. So if you have been listening to this podcast and you have found it helpful and you have enjoyed listening to it, whatever platform you have been listening to, please like, rate, subscribe, comment, whatever it may be. The feedback definitely helps. You can check us out on Instagram and on Facebook. Our name is Canine Performance, CANINE_performance. Also check us out on YouTube under the same name. And yeah, that's everything for this podcast episode. See you guys in the next one.